rework happened, and if they bring it out now of all times, when you're qualifying for the major, you know, it's your map pick, it's the second map, etc. Like a lot goes on the line here. Surely DarkZero themselves, they feel like they got a really good grasp on things. Now, while this is a rework, that means it's a new version of Consulate. It does, of course, have some characteristics of the previous. That's why it's a rework and not just a new map in its own. So knowing, you know, somebody like Troy has a lot of experience on the previous Consulate and like playing the map to my knowledge as well for the most part, I can see them have a pretty good idea on what they want to do here. The thing about Consulate, unlike Border, is that attack on this map is a lot more difficult. There's many more rooms, a lot more ground to cover, and you're dealing with 3 floors, the basement, the primary, and the top floor as well. So I feel like where these two teams will really get compared to one another is going to be on their attack and side, and how good they are problem solving more than anything else. And it's DC on attack, the Soniqs on defense, but we'll see if it's going to actually be an attacker side or not Consulate, because that could also just be the case.
Jackal has been banned a single time in all of the North American League and is now banned yet again, this time taken out by DarkZero. We talked about this earlier. 21 attacking operators have been banned. 21 separate operators. That is a staggering number. And while the vast majority have been contained to 3 operators of Ying, Dokkaebi, and Monty, you still have the odd curveball thrown in. I think a Jackal being banned for only the 2nd time in this entire stage is indeed a curveball. The other 3 operators are no different than were banned the first time. Easy, bringing some flexibility in the operator bans, banning Brava in map number 1 and then removing Jackal in map number 2 keeps things a little bit spicy. Very first defense will be upstairs inside of that old projector office room that we came to know and love. Now, rename. Secretary technically being the name of this bomb site.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse.
Of course, not having a Jackal means roaming should be a more viable option. Of course, with DC being on to ban it, it means that they probably want to roam when the side swap comes around, but what would they do to combat the Jackal ban themselves to start things off? Well, for starters, they were running the Dokkaebi, but Rise went off that onto Ace instead. So, I mean, Nomad and Grim as the outliers in this round. IQ, you can say, IQ doesn't get played that often, right? Well, there's a Pulse, there's a Valkyrie on the board, etc. So it makes perfect sense as to why Pampas would play the IQ. But the one big issue that might occur for DarkZero in this round will be the clash of Geo. It's a phenomenal operator clash in the top 4 bomb site, because there are so many long lines of sight. It can be hard to rotate as a normal defender, but with clash all of a sudden, that goes out the window. You can roam freely around as much as you want, slow down the attackers, and to make matters worse, DarkZero, they don't have any real counters to the clash. Yeah, if you get a lucky air jab, then maybe you can kill Geo, but there's no Capital Fire, no Sophia Stones, no Kali. So Geo realistically shouldn't really die in this round unless he makes a massive mistake.
Shield play has been quite common actually over Border and now through round number 1 of Consulate. Just not exactly the shield operators that you'd expect. Monty is available for both teams on attack. Not brought by DarkZero in round number 1, but was brought by DZ. Both Monty and the Blitz. We saw the Blitz brought by Geo as well for Soniqs too. So I imagine we will eventually see some shield play from the attacking lineup, even if we do see the clash immediately in round number 1. And just killing time on the main floor, as there goes what appears to be a Nitro cell expended by Gunner to no avail upstairs. Now DZ will open up a very critical part of this bomb site, which will be that main entrance into the projector bomb site, once again renamed Secretary officially. Just under a minute to go.
I feel like they could have tried to use that C4 with the clash for direct live intel, so they're just kind of guessing as to where the attackers are going to be at. DarkZero very slow. This is Consulate, a big map, hard to deal with, but Geo still being alive in full health means when DC don't want to hit the execute button, they gotta deal with the clash first.
And there's DZ. Guess who it is to get the first kill? Pambazoo, just like we always expected. The bees will go out, and Canadian finds a safe way to get that diffuser down and then backs up over towards admin. Citizen looking for a run out. He'll get it, and a pick for SQ. It's the only pick for Soniqs on the board. kills will continue to come in as that timer just goes away and away and away. Canadian got the diffuser down. Now he gets one on the board. Geo, shield away, looking for an engagement. It's him and Rexon. That's it. Secondary shotgun out. Rexon with a kill. He's got a shotgun too. Rice sees Rexon, guns him down, and now it's the super shorty, which at that distance might do negative damage. DarkZero looking very calm as they walk in, plant the diffuser, walk out, and then cut through Soniqs in the post plant.
I gotta say, I feel like there was a massive blunder in that round because Geo's playing Clash, full HP. I mean, yeah, you're not gonna know every single attack and operator off the rip because attack a repeat and whatnot, but when there's 40 seconds left in the round, and Geo is like the last person to die on Clash, who should be the first person in action, something's wrong. I mean, what's stopping Geo from just walking in that secretarial hallway on top of these stairs, sapping people, slowing them down, peeking out that side door, having a guy playing behind him? Well, nothing. Because we know there's nothing really stopping Geo from just walking into the opposition. Sure, the air jabs, but you got C4s, you got impact grenades, you can shoot them as well. And what the Clash enables you to do is the same as a mirror window, except it's on wheels, right? You can move into your opponent and just keep forcing them back. You got 2 C4s in the previous round on Citizen and Gunner that weren't really effectively used either. So what looked like a really solid strat from Soniqs to start things off had some major flaws in it, and DC, they made it look so easy. They just walked in the side, they shot out a couple of bees from Grim, and they planted, and that was that. The round basically ended. Retaking is so difficult on most bomb sites on Consulate. On the current rework, just like before, you can play so far back and outside the bomb site sometimes and still see that diffuser, making the defuse almost impossible. That's some good value from the Twitch drone there, Troy.
Change up for Soniqs in their operator lineup. I like referencing the Maestro whenever we see him emerge as, well, he's not exactly a commonplace operator. And there's time for those evil eyes to go down. Both in place, only seeing the one. I didn't get a good look at where the second one was.
Oh, I didn't either.
Oh my.
But, sure guess is the side itself. Just get that intel. You can play from below, you can play from above, you can deny drones, of course. It's gonna be Geo and Grixer near the side itself with 3 roamers extended around the map. Of course, still triple C4 this time to utilize those Valkyrie cameras, perhaps. We saw Canadian already clear out 1 Valkyrie cam on site with the Twitch drones. Also found a goo. DC are doing the same kind of thing as on Border on attack. They want 5 players alive, they want to get that set up and try and clear as much utility and get as much map intel as possible before it starts getting chaotic. They've only lost 3 drones, so 7 left alive. That means either they haven't used any of them, which we know is not true, or Soniqs simply aren't finding these drones, which is the case. Again, Twitch drone gets value, clears out the mirror window this time around. Air jabs being positioned now from NJR. DarkZero, yes, time is taken away, but they're still progressing in this round second by second.
Sequential breach activated.
This is the speed at which we see DZ like to operate on, and it's easy to be critical of them when we think they're taking too long and being a bit too impatient, or too patient rather. Then if they get impatient, we knock them for that as well. I guess you can never really win here.
No. But, I mean, there's being slow and doing nothing, and there's being slow and doing something, right? And DC typically are proactive, like they're doing something with their time. It's just sometimes hard to figure out. But you look at this, the setup is there. They can walk on in and maybe, just maybe, get a free pick here.
Canadian looking for it as Grixer outduels Pan Bazoo and then swings. Grixer holding his own inside a piano. Gavin hopping in, he assesses the bomb site, playing around it, but that silhouette is still there, and Grixer's firing away from that position. Can NJR do anything? He's the next in line. Grixer won't get a 4th kill, he's been down. Soniqs losing 1, but Citizen long range finishes the job. DZ, they're not gonna go up 2-0, and they're not gonna make quick work of Soniqs on this one. As we expect, it'll be close between these teams, even if it is DZ's map. Soniqs are still a formidable foe, and they prove it on that second round.
And Grixis just with perfect timing, right? I mean, with how much time DC they took to set things up, Grixis picked a literal perfect moment to actually swing out and get that 3K essentially. And he did so in a way that allowed him to take individual gunfights. He would fight one player, and then that middle piano section in the middle of the room blocks the angle to the second. Then he swings out and gets another one versus one. So he just kept isolating targets by using the environment around him to grant himself cover from where he couldn't see himself essentially. It was very well played by him, and the amount of things you can do in a small room like piano, well, we just saw it right there. A masterclass from DarkZero. Of course, bomb site rotations on Consulate still not fully fleshed out. Teams that tend to go anywhere. Top is played, lobbies played, basements played, and we tend to see more and more archives tellers as time has been going on. We saw it earlier today when they won Ivy Cast. Saw it previous play days as well. So no bomb site has been deemed quote-unquote unplayable. And it's also still not clear exactly which top 3 across all regions will be the exact picks every single time. And that's the beauty of maps being new. Teams are still figuring it out, and so are we.
Callouts being established between the regions for both Consulate and Nighthaven, though I will say there is a working group that is currently going over what everything is referred to as, so that there can be consistency across the broadcasts. It's tough, right? Because, I mean, when you're thinking of callouts, compass callouts are usually what you want to stick to the most, as that's the familiarity that the audience will have and the casual player will have too. Then you get into the nitty-gritty and you get into the ranked callouts, where most of the enthusiasts and hardcore fans will know that banana, for example, is a certain part of the map and not just the fruit, which happens to be an excellent fruit, by the way.
Sensor activated.
Eat your literal fruit heart out with that one.
Not the fruit tier list again.
We're not bringing that one up, though they do enjoy it very much, and I mean, why not? That's not exactly the greatest of first zaps. Rice is on the board first. Down goes Geo. Just a bit more than a minute off of the board, and now Rice will continue to aggress. He might run head-to-head with the Pulse on Soniqs' side of things. They've opened up one of the panels leading to the garage bomb site as well. So some of the work done for DZ, but still more to go to wrestle that map control on the first floor away from Soniqs.
I mean, with the smoke grenade on Canadian, I do think that DC could try and go for a smoke plan, but it is risky. Of course, there's no glass, you can't see through the smoke, you died with C4, there's no retake because there is only one smoke available, but it could be the way, and there it is. Canadian tosses out. This could be the go-go sign for DarkZero.
The real question is just going to be that intel, right? To kill in for Soniqs, down goes Pambazoo. Canadian attempting to get that diffuser off again. Grixis doesn't seem to know, and it will prove to be successful. There's a pick by Gavin, traded right back. Grixis, a monster as always, but that yawning chasm, that basically is the floor of garage between SQ and DZ, might just be too much. The timer as well running away. Canadian, after getting diffuser down, a big pick, and now here's Rice on the flank to take advantage of Soniqs if they're not looking. Rice with one. Can he find Citizen to seal the deal? Citizen emerges towards Pillar. No, Rice, 3 kills on the round. Phenomenal stuff. And DZ again, they just get in under the noses of Soniqs, get the diffuser down, and get out safely and finish the job in the post plant. That's twice they've done it. Yeah, they ultimately failed in round number 2, but DZ regains the lead.
This is classic DarkZero action as well, where what do you do in a map that you don't know all that well? Because roam clearing and chasing people around is very difficult. You don't know every angle, every softball, every possibility, and also even every single call out, because it is a new map. So to simplify that process, DC are playing what I would say is like a year 2 or year 3 Pro League style of Siege, where they play the game from the end, so to speak, right? Instead of going, okay, where do we want to start our roam clear? Where do we want to start the game? They go, how do we want to end these rounds? And the answer is simple. On a basement attack, they want to plant on the breach. That's their end goal, and they'll work backwards from there. They need main breach control, need to make sure there's nobody in piano, or they need to have a smoke grenade. It's a very simple process of how you play Rainbow Six Siege. And the reason why this kind of style kind of quote-unquote died out in more recent time is because we've been playing the same maps for so long that everyone has figured them out. When the enemy does option number A, you know exactly what counter to use to stop them from achieving success. But on a new map, you don't know every answer to every opportunity and everything that arises in a given round. So DC playing a very old school simple style, saying we just want to plant down this diffuser, that's our goal, that's our objective. And Soniqs, they're playing this very delicate roaming setup, roaming on basement, extending out across on lobby, and now playing this mirror and clash strat once again on top floor. I will say though, Clash is the #1 counter to Monty, I would argue, same with Blitz. So if there was ever a time to be a Monty, it wouldn't be now. But Canadian thinks otherwise. He's gonna attempt it. I'm curious to see what DC will do with problem solving in this round, because I do think this will be the hardest round yet to find that gap in the defense.
A bomb has been located.
I forget what live event it was. Might it have been the Copenhagen Major, where... No, it would have been the Charlotte Major, where the Monty and the Blitz came face to face. I think it was at the top of Bank Blue Stairs, and they did battle. Maybe it was farther back than that. The pandemic absolutely cooked my brain, because it still feels like 2020, and it's almost 2024. Not to make anybody panic, but... Yeah, I think that obviously that is just a fun anecdote. It doesn't lend any real credibility to your argument, but I mean, if you've got somebody designed to slow you down on defense, it's going to be that Clash. I mean, Legion obviously is another great counter for Monty, not present by Soniqs, could have been brought. Another counter on the board, Information. Observation blocker brought by Gunner. Oftentimes we don't speak about how critical that secondary gadget can be in denying very important intel. Sitting behind it, there's 2 ADSs, by the way, or in front of it, depending on which way the drone comes at it. But it will block off line of sight by that long desk and in the top of Spiral.
Only a minute to go here, and again, not unlike DC to take their time, but again, I wonder about the Clash, because the one thing for Soniqs right now is they obviously recognize the issue. So look at this, that's what I want to see from Soniqs. Proactivity, walk in, there's no one here. It's a ruse. This is not going to be an attack and ankle, so now the gig is up. Soniqs should realize this and see, hey, they're actually going elsewhere.
The sound of bees. Now Grixer will see the Monty reading into it. Down goes Pam Bazoo, but Grixer needs to play this next one perfectly, because you've still got Canadian there breathing down your neck as he dances around a Nitro Cell and then takes too much damage. A ruse? It might have been. DarkZero losing out. There's NJR to do some damage. Now pivoting, looking back towards long desk. Gavin and NJR are in a real tough spot. 10 seconds to go. 4 players from Soniqs. And Citizen just flattens one of them. Traded off, but it's impactless. And Gavin will go fishing. The line snaps. Nothing there on the other side. 2 now on the board for Soniqs to match DZ's total.
I actually quite like the setup from DarkZero, though. I mean, it was a beautiful play from Geo saying, okay, something's up, there's nobody here. And then they realized, okay, they're going to be attacking elsewhere, and they made that great rotation at the very final second, because if they were just like 2, 3, 4 seconds slower on the defense, well, Troy would have been mid-plant animation deep inside of CEO. But you see here, Grixer runs in front of Troy, and Pamazu doesn't pick up on it. And another small detail is that Canadian stayed extended the entire time with the shield, where if Grixer runs past you to kill your teammate, you should unextend to threaten a hipfire, an ADS, or a melee to force Grixer to either focus on the Monty or try and play for that 1-for-1 trade. And the second very small detail is that after Canadian got C4'd, it forces your shield to like turn to its side. He didn't counter turn with his mouse, which meant that he opened up himself to get shot due to the animation stagger, and that's how he got injured and died to the person who C4'd him. Because when you get meleeed or C4'd as a shield player, you gotta turn your body accordingly so that your shield still covers your front body as it gets slanted. Very, very small details where you gotta be a like relatively experienced multiplayer to make those very small decisions. Canadian's goal there was simply just to get in the bomb site again and get that diffuser down. It wasn't to go for kills, etc. Canadian isn't your typical multi main, so to speak, but it's those very small details that can make or break rounds and moments in those rounds that then favored Soniqs because of that outcome. But again, good adaptations from Soniqs. They tie things up. And DC, you know, they'll try and go for broke with those strats where they try and simplify the process, and then they'll say in round number 5, let's try and go for roam clear. Let's pick up the Dogibi, try and go for these kills, and just keep changing up the pace in our playstyle against Soniqs, because it makes them so hard to predict for the defending team.
Focus on this piano bomb site yet again, and you hear the play down below. We got to see it. Brava on the board, banned out in the previous map, but Canadian has very much been liking these drone operators, Twitch and Brava being the lion's share of what he's played up to this point. Obviously, the Monty is the whole exception. Brava's showing what you can do with the Kludge. Thing is that if you're Fenrir, losing those dread mines, you can very easily notice that, as they're no longer up there for you. There goes Geo, by the way. He struggled to find a kill in the first half of Border and is in the same position now. He sits 0-5 on these support roles that he is so well known for. But again, Soniqs being tied with DZ, they can keep pace even if Geo's not performing in terms of kills.
It's true, but the big worry in trend is not that he dies, doesn't get any kills, that he dies first all these rounds. Unsupported operators should be playing relatively safe, and DC, they add to the tally, they find Citizen as well. What usually is an aggressive roamer from Soniqs now in the grave too, just watching cams. And it's Rexing, Gunner, and Grixer, that trio that has to clutch out now to not lose that 2-2 scoreline.
There's one pick for Gunner as he gets the slow read onto Gavin. So long, farewell, thanks for all the fish, I suppose. Now a double jump in, as DZ might stack up here, and that's exactly what happens. Grixer gets the pick, but Gunner traded out. Trades will favor DarkZero as there go logic bombs. Sound given away. Rex in an excellent position from above to give some support to Grixer, as I don't think DZ has the wherewithal to send somebody up to the top floor. Rice has a good understanding of it, but it's looking the wrong way, and Pambazu dies because of it. DZ might find themselves in a tough spot as NJR gets retrieved, goes back to a 2v2. NJR on low HP, easily thwarted by the players from SQ above, and there's Rice to go down as well. The inability of DarkZero to put their forces upstairs has bogged them down, and Rexon will continue to fire away as NJR does not have access to the diffuser. He peeks out, but it was a formality. There was no way he was picking up those last 2 kills. And that's 2 in a row as Soniqs gain their first lead of Consulate.
There's great use of map overall there from Soniqs. I mean, they're playing across such a big portion of the map, and yeah, they lose 2 members early. It looked kind of grim for a moment, but again, they hold on the top floor. They recognize its importance, and while I didn't have that much intel on side with the cameras, they just had the right angles covered. They knew where the DarkZero players were. They locked them into that small closet inside a piano in the yellow hallway as well, and they just couldn't get into the bomb side. And even if they did, they don't have any easy ways to plan because they had no smokes left in the attack inside. It was flashbangs and grenades, and most of those were spent already. So when you play a simple style of siege in these rounds like DC are trying to currently, there's also arguably very simple ways to get countered. And one of those is that you simply play above or below the bomb side. That's exactly what Soniqs they did. Gunner getting that kill to Gavin, of course, that starts things off, and then a frost mat that takes down NJR on the window jumping on yellow. Those 2 things, of course, have a massive impact because it's what weakened that initial push for DarkZero, and there was a short time where both members of Soniqs were reloading and nobody was covering the angles. If DC had more bodies just funnel through that door, they might have actually broken in, but they didn't because, again, a pick, as well as a frost map, just simply slowed them down and handicapped them a little bit too much in that round.
Reloading.
Final defense for Soniqs, who so far have been pretty good, all things considered. Again, we'll reference the fact that on this map, the meta is far from settled. It can take several stages for the meta to effectively become formed, and each region is going to approach things differently. Bomb site rotation for Soniqs, though, has been exactly the same in the second half of this first half as the first half of the first half. I'm sure there's a more elegant way of putting that. As for DarkZero, they're going to rock with the Monty yet again. Canadian was successful to get in amidst the smoke, buy that garage panel, and get a diffuser planted with relative ease. Now he's going to have the shield on his back and the team, in a way, on his back as he will guide the play towards the objective. I suspect that Soniqs will not be duped by this same strategy again, but open to seeing it unfold.
Yeah, I mean, they got Rexon on the Oryx to counter Monty if he goes for a push. They got Grixer on the side, hopefully. Yeah, there he is on Warden countering a smoke plant. So Soniqs, they got both angles kind of figured out right now for both their own clear and, of course, the side plan. But look at that. NGR just walks on in, and Rexon has no idea that DC were inside of lobby. And this is Canadian right now, Monty, looking for a planned option. It looks the wrong way with the shield.
Geo finally getting the kill that has eluded him. It's against his former teammates. Now Pambazoo will die as well to Gunner. There goes Geo. So it's Grixer and Gunner in a 2v3. Both these players, though, have been performing up to snuff. Grixer, the standout performer in this lobby up to this point. He's been quietly amassing a good number of kills. Oh, he could have had more than one. It'll leave more up to Gunner, who engages. Big pick, and he gets away. They'll retake from above. Plenty of time. Rice holds onto that diffuser. He needs to find an opportunity to get a plant down where he cannot be spotted through the floor. There's intel at play here. It could be dangerous for Rice, who's looking for that angle, but that's not a good perspective. Instead, now inside a calf by the A-bomb site, he'll go for the plant. Gunner tries to scare him off of it, but Gunner's attention is in the wrong place.
Attackers are activating.
He hasn't moved a muscle, and he'll have almost next to no intel in this regard. The one thing working in Gunner's favor is the HP of Rice. He will die to one bullet at close range to that SMG-11, and with the fire rate, it'll be a good fight to take. But Gunner needs to find it. Rice posted up, an angle onto the wall. Gunner attempting the stick, maybe, and Rice has the peak. Just as we saw all the way back in map number 1, these teams so evenly matched the first half. A dead even heat. 3-3, side swap incoming.
I just love watching, like, quote-unquote new players to pro play like Rise in those 1v1s, because you really get to watch their train of thought and how they want to approach it, right? He starts planting the first time and he gets a little bit rattled. He's like, oh, I don't know if I'm safe here or not. Goes to his second position, sticks it, and then just plays it very patiently and just structurally. It's also classic DarkZero, right? You can see the influence of the team that you're joining as a young new player to the league, because they're going to mold you and form you and how you're going to approach these rounds and these moments in the game. Is again, Canadian Monty is it's a spectacle, right? Because it looks really, really great until it doesn't, and then he dies those very small, silly mistakes like not turning his characters to C4, not positioning himself quote-unquote correctly to avoid death. But it doesn't matter because he's got great teammates to back him up when that happens. NJR, so many times in the first border and now Consulate, finding kills seemingly out of nowhere. Rise actually being the stable person in the late rounds here for DarkZero, where it's Pambazoo quote-unquote falling short. He's 1-6, but no one seemed to realize because DC are still in a great spot, tying things 3-3. And now the side swap comes around. And if Pambazoo now fires up and he has a great half in defense, all of a sudden DC are looking mighty fine. But this is the thing. I said before the game started, where I want to see teams succeed and kind of pick apart who's the better Consulate team and who deserves to win this series, I really think it comes down to attacking here in Consulate, as it is a new map, and just to show you how much prep work has gone into this and how good their read is in the current map and the meta that currently happens to be on Consulate. It's a bit of a fumble breach there from Soniqs to start things off. Geo gets kite tricked on the main breach to basement bomb side, but it's at the end of the world. He's got a second in pocket. They just gotta go for a roam clear now, figure out how to deal with those kite claws because they don't have secondary piece on Rexon on the Dokkaebi.
Ooh. Legion will lurk from above with Canadian not too far off. One thing that we like to highlight, and I come back to quite often, is first pick. DZ got first pick 4 of those 6 rounds. The team that has gotten first pick has won it every single time except for round number 5, which was that disastrous round for DZ where one player upstairs prevented you from winning an entire bomb site, frankly, and that really fell on the shoulders of Rexon succeeding in that regard. So, who gets the first pick here? Seemed like there was a bit of an issue with one of the Selmas for SQ, and if that's the case, then you're not able to open things up the way you want. Gunner punishing Rice. They run right into each other, and it's Soniqs to strike first in this round.
I feel like Gavin should have known they were inside a piano area because they haven't started breaking the forges yet, but they were sprinting above NGR's head. I mean, surely he hears it. Either way, Gavin falls early, but of course you get those Valkyrie cams still active in play, so the first member who dies on defense gets to be a cam watcher. Watch the flanks, make some calls, see where the things are happening. We'll also see Ramen actions breaking the floor so quickly and also pretty safely from any C4 from below. We're still in roaming presence from DarkZero. Pambazoo is still looking to get active in this round. But Soniqs, once they break this primary breach, and that'll happen shortly right here, they can set themselves up a decent plan because, again, just building up this numbers advantage.
Gunner taking damage from that goo mine as he soldiers
Gunner?
down yellow. He was a second away from dying. Canadian was picked off earlier on by Grixer just moments before that. Soniqs with the advantage, and there's Pambazoo on the flank. Good enough for a single kill. Gunner on a tiny portion of HP. He could have easily been felled as well. NJR and Gavin now playing long range. I don't like this fight with the TCSG, and he's flashed as well, so that's not good. Gavin pops up. Couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Now it's the Nitro Cell to go out. SQ clean up with Gunner basically being a ghost of himself, getting the pick. Sonic successful on their very first attack. They gain the lead again.
I mean, that entire round is just Gunner. He's doing so much work on the roam clear near the bomb side. And I mean, I thought he was going to die to the goo there and hope he was going to get traded by his teammate. The idea from Gunner there is try and get the goo mine to tick down as far as possible and then pull it out the very last second because he knows he's about to get flanked. And the longer Gunner can go for before he starts that animation, the closer he's going to be to a friend, to a teammate who can trade him out. And DarkZero, you know, the person who was chasing him, he realized that. And then Gunner is so smart. He goes outside the yellow door, Rexen posts up close, and then they play that 2 versus 1 trade where, sure, DarkZero, they flank for that retake, but Gunner trades it right back. And the reason why Gunner was so important is because he was the person with the smoke grenades. That's how they get in the bomb site, that's how they get the plant down, and it's how they won the round. So he finds 3 kills, and he keeps his own utility alive. And this is the thing,
10 seconds to
if you look at
insertion.
Gunner in like the current stage of Pro League versus when he first joined Soniqs,
seconds remaining.
he is a completely different player. I mean, he used to be seen as like the crazy quote-unquote Ashman run and gun, you know, can't sit still kind of player. And then he started playing Ying or like entry, second entry, and nowadays he plays flex/second support, and he looks very vocal in the callouts as well. And he's doing so much work, still on the entering, of course, and getting kills, but his utility game so improved since he joined Pro League. It's phenomenal to
Attackers
watch.
have located a bomb.
High praise from the 2-time back-to-back world champion. I mean, you don't make it this far if you don't have your standout players. SQ might want to go for... Oh, I was wondering if they were going to go for something quick here, but no, they just wanted the Argus cam in.
Detected a bomb.
We finally see that server bomb sites. Now all 4 have emerged. Question is this bomb site doesn't really see a ton of play, how do you go about doing it?
That's the thing. The few times we do see it, it plays out kind of like the old Consulate where you play heavily from below because you can see for that Taylor's bomb site. And then attacker as well, either attack the basement like we see right here being attempted, or you do a top-down roam clear. Great EMP usage there to deny the tricking of Bandit and Kite Claws to get that wall opened up, but that's just the starting point. And Sonics are doing both sides here, right? They're taking top floor control for pressure on towards Visa and Taylor's bomb side, and they're trying to pressure the basement of Archives itself. The question is, where is the diffuser carry going to go that is Geo? Because that's going to signify the actual execute. The rest is purely a distraction and a way to try and assist that bomb to go down. Geo also playing the nuke. This could be a way for him to activate the gadget and plant while being invisible to cameras, because Valkyrie is on the board. Pulse, of course, will still see the heartbeat scanner and see the heartbeat of Nuke. But the Valk cams will be rendered useless essentially against it. It'll just be a case on the floor. Nobody planting it.
It's a nice drone by Geo, by the way, and if you have confidence in your teammates, you can keep somebody on that, especially if you get a numbers advantage. You don't need to be, I suppose, as involved in the actual execute, which, for the record, the execute will come very quickly. 45 seconds left in the round. Not a point of damage to be found between either of these teams, but look at that. Geo's just walked right in. He's getting the diffuser down. Is this information? No, he falls off. Citizen drops, but not before Canadian dies. Nitro Cell goes out. Gunner is also dead. Sonics do not come out ahead here in this brawl on a bit of an unconventional bomb site. Now it's Rexen to go in and get dropped. There's a kill on the Pambazoo, but Gavin seals the deal. What an absolute mess of a round. DarkZero's not going to care one bit how clean it was when they take the win. Back to a tie game, 4 rounds apiece for these two.
I mean, it's very chaotic, but at the same time, also felt very calculated from DarkZero because they all committed at the same time in the same way. But I will say, Soniqs' attack attempt and the plan behind it, phenomenal, right? They send 2 players down into Archive's basement to distract the players that are below, trying to C4, try and pulse, etc. And then it was in fact that play from Geo where he plays the nuke, he pops the gadget, and he starts to plant down that diffuser because if Pulse can't have his scanner out or he dies, which is what happened, and you play nuke who's planting, the Pulse can't see you, the Valcam can't see you, and the defenders don't really know if you're actually planting. So the theory behind that was phenomenal. The only issue is DarkZero, they had so many backup plans for, oh boy, there's something about to go down. Impact the wall, flank from bottom spiral, fight out downstairs archives, C4s not used vertically to deny the plant, but used horizontally to get kills and shut down that archives push that we saw from Soniqs. And we're tied up again 4-4. All bomb sites played. And very different approaches on the attack inside from both of these two teams. DarkZero going for a very slow, methodical plant approach. Soniqs playing a lot of intel so far, a lot of flank drones, and they like to get out on the map as much as possible, going for those quote-unquote roam clears or half clears. It just goes to show that there are so many ways to break this down, and no team is just gonna follow each other. They got their own identity on this map.
Especially these two squads who notoriously follow systems that differ from their regional mates. I mean, talk about the DZ system that has come up before when the team will talk about it. Canadian will go on at length about it and how they play their own style. They don't try to mimic anything, and even if they lose, ultimately, they're still playing their own game. So when you get a new map like Consulate, it's fascinating to see how those two teams will end up mixing. And I gotta say, so far, there's been some pretty messy rounds. That last one, as we pointed out, was messy, but you said calculated. I like what these two teams are bringing to this map. I like the variance in operators. I like the way they're using the same operators in different ways as well. The way that Canadian has used Pulse, differing from the way that we saw Pulse being used by Soniqs.
Yeah.
So we still have time to see more operators show up, but for the meantime, we are being treated to quite an exhilarating Consulate so far, and it's as close as it can be at 4 rounds apiece.
We see Soniqs, the no Canadians downstairs. They got Dogaby. They're slowly looking for him, but not just sprinting toward him either. Soniqs always trying to apply this, like, a little bit of pressure here, a little bit of pressure there. They're everywhere yet nowhere, and Geo gets on the board first for this time round, finding Rice. My. First pick for Soniqs. Canadian answers back. He unsheaths the UMP and shows what damage he can do from that position. So the early advantage for Soniqs is gone. They regain a numbers advantage with Panbazoo being dropped. This has been a very quiet game in stark contrast to the border match that preceded it. Nice play by NJR. Outdueling Geo, looking around, can't control the Roni. It's now Canadian to bail his team out. Diffuser picked up by Citizen. Canadian can hear it, but he doesn't have access to the nitro cell. You know he's downstairs still, so it's very easy for Grixer and Rexon to just watch those positions as Citizen sticks the landing. Not taking enough damage, though. Not at full HP. They don't have to fear a nitro cell, but Canadian, as long as he plays these 44 seconds well, 45 seconds rather, can potentially make some noise, but these are dire circumstances. He sees one. Spotted on the Argus cam, finished off by Soniqs. And it really is a seesaw match as Soniqs take the lead back. Again, they've now got 5 rounds. Back and forth, and again, like the very small details what define some of these outcomes, right? Canadian going for a C4 toss, despite the fact that the Valkyrie camera literally yellow pinging where the plant is going down. So NGR, he prones in that wall, he gets the kill instead, but if they coordinate that better, you know, the first C4 could have killed the planter. NGR kills the second guy and allows NGR to hide in that piano closet for much longer. Because Canadian finding the kill onto Gunnar downstairs in the basement was massive. Because then Pulse is alive, they get the scanner, they get the C4, but Rexon's out. But they don't get to use it whatsoever. So all of a sudden, that strategy of playing Pulse build to plant deny, it doesn't really have a lot of value and it doesn't come to life. And there's no secondary C4 for follow-up. Canadian's very much alone, so had he died early in the round, then nothing happens at all from that play. We'll see if DC will tend to stick with the same approach.
10 seconds left.
The one thing that's for sure, though, is the the roles rather are very defined right now from DarkZero. Canadian will play intel. He'll be far off the bomb side, looking for a C4 play, or to try and contest the roam and have some map presence.
Camera feed up and running.
For Soniqs, they seem to more often than not try and hunt him down with mixed success, of course. Gio's been playing some Ace today, some Blitz today, and Gio will now get to play some Monty as well, so it's gonna be a big shield day for North America here. I love to see it, but just like in round number 1, when Gio got tricked on the wall, as does Citizen. You got Thatcher though, it's fine.
Well, they did the split Electric Claw play where you throw one on one panel and one on the other. Now NJR is going to sacrifice a single claw. Think they get it. It gets shot right through. He has another available as well on drone. There's the EMP. NJR falling off. No opportunity for that Electric Claw to do anything. The garage is now open and Pambazoo watches from above. As long as he has somebody watching, or he relies on those goo mines, he can hold off whatever advance it may be. The secret weapon for Soniqs will be those Argus cams. Changes to Zero have made him a far better stealth operator because now you don't need to automatically activate the other side of the Argus cam. So you can stick a cam up and then 50 seconds later when nobody's thinking about it and nobody's watching, switch the script up and get information. Crucial information, that is. Grixer's already got 2 of those cams out. He hears a call. He'll creep up. Down goes Gavin, not expecting Grixer in this position. Grixer will just head for the hills now towards Locker Hall, but instead he sees the opening towards Cafeteria. NJR now the next to fall. Soniqs in an incredible position with still over a minute to go, and they've still got the Monty on the board. Wow. It just keeps coming. Now it's Canadian to die. Rice and Pambazoo in a 2v5.
Attackers are activating the diffuser.
I don't like those odds. One bit. Rice down the spiral stairs. Looking towards that locker hall, looking in multiple directions. How does he bail himself out of this situation?
Defenders have eyes on
Just to get away, sees the diffuser, swung on, losing the fight. Pambazoo not able to get a pick. Moving to map point, it's the Soniqs doing so flawlessly.
Yeah, and this is the thing on Consulate, right? It's this big map that it can be very taxing on the mental because there are so many things to keep track of into, the map that you gotta clear, the things you gotta deal with, and we see Soniqs do it so well. They get the main breach, they got the Muncie. Okay, that's their win condition for planting, right? But that's too simple, so they have this kind of secret strategy. It's Grixer on the flank from backside, just finding the opening kill, getting all that side presence, and then they just allow 5 seconds of breathing room. They let DarkZero make the first move, they start moving too much on the defense, and then Soniqs get a second kill. Then it's that 5 versus 3, and that's where the Monty comes into play. Monty extends the shield, just walks on in, and can plant pretty much anywhere that he wants to because they got side control. Soniqs doing a great job here, just problem solving, finding those small gaps, and allowing themselves to also say, okay guys, this is a bit of a risky play, because if Grixer goes to that flank instead of the bottom visa stairs and he dies, they got nothing, right? But at the same time, the second he succeeds, they all act up on a right here, this kill. That defines the entire round. That's the Warden, it's the backside pressure, it's the bomb side pressure, it's the panic from DarkZero that then gives Soniqs further kills and side control. And it's just like that. Gunnar says it right there. Good job, boys. 1 round away from taking us to the 3rd and final map of Night Haven Labs. But Soniqs have been so close in so many games in regulation into overtime when it comes to best of ones. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way, they take us to OT in this one as well. See what they can cook up in the final round. We've seen a fair bit of flexibility. I mean, I'm not sure what Gunnar is cooking it, but he was showing the fuse.
Bomb located
Now onto
by
the
attackers.
Grim. One thing I do like though is the shield use from both teams. The Monty, the Blitz on attack, and the Clash in defense. 2 rounds by
5 seconds
Sonic, and now 1 round from Canadian of the DarkZero as well. Both teams got that same thing figured out here at least, that shields on Consulate are strong.
I don't know if I have the same confidence as you to push us to overtime. I'm ready to be made a fool of, but I don't know if I've seen enough from DarkZero to have any level of confidence on their defensive plays to nod my head and go, yeah, I think overtime is likely. I think we might be in the same position that we were with Border, where there is just very definitively a stronger team on one side of the map. Soniqs have really not committed a lot of mistakes on their 4 attacking rounds so far. Even on that server's take, where, yeah, it was a sloppy round, it was just a brawl. That can go either way. If you're just constantly killing each other and running into each other nonstop, and there might not be the utmost strategy involving these teams, it really comes down to gun skill. And Soniqs, sometimes their gun skill can't keep up with their contemporaries. Here for DarkZero on defense, they just don't look like themselves. You've had very poor performances from Pambazoo, very poor performances from Gavin so far. Even though, you know, not all their players' numbers are underwater, DZ definitely looked like a more comfortable team on attack. And Soniqs are finding the loopholes and exploiting them in these defenses for DarkZero.
I do agree with you. And to know also Soniqs is everybody. I mean, Grixer on 13 kills, sure, but everybody's putting that team performance. Everyone's showing up, but this is it. The clash against the Muncie. This is the worst place to be if you're Geo, because you can't really progress on the map. But this is where the intel comes into play. The yellow pings, the nades below, if they find a little bit of value, that goes a very long way. But the longer this round goes on for, the lower Geo's health will get. Again, Grixer, they're playing this 4-1 split, 4 people on one side, Grixer backstabbing. So all things they gotta do is keep distracting and buying time for their teammate.
It's been a very good set of games for Gunnar as well. It's not even just in terms of numbers, it's in terms of his contribution. And he's been playing a lot more sheltered and making his presence known. You talked about the clash of the Monty early on, and well, look at that. Canadian is the attention of Geo. Down goes Rice. Citizen falls shortly thereafter. Geo taking a gamble. It does not pay off. Gavin picks up 2. Now it's up to the 3 remaining players of Soniqs to address this defense. They've got some time to work with. They don't have the diffuser, so it will have to be kills unless one of them goes to retrieve it. Gavin, a 3rd kill. He's got every single one so far. Ace denied by Pambazoo. And now it's Gunnar nearsighted. His own bees buzzing in front of him. It's slowed down effortlessly by Canadian on that clash. Gunnar will get gassed out and drop through the hatch. 20 seconds left, and he's not even on the right floor. There'll be pings, but I don't think he's going to go for it at all. He'll just wait, give his team some time to catch their breath,
10 seconds to go.
recoup, and see what comes next in what could be
5 seconds
our final round, but will certainly be our final round of regulation. Clock at 0, DarkZero takes the round. They just needed to wait, and they succeed. Rebuffing Soniqs as they try to get into the building. The timeout working out, and maybe you were right about overtime. The next round will determine the fate of this map.
Curious to see if DC will bring out more like the Fenrir and the Legion or Elements, because the issue for them really has been that Soniqs kind of just walk in. They backstab, they flank, they get the opening picks, and DC struggle in that early to mid stage of the round. And once you fall behind on Consulate, it can be very difficult to get back in because you have to play retake on all these areas. But this is a classic, like, really funny moment, right? There's a person about the clash assisting the clash, there's a person about the Monty assisting the Monty, and it's a 2 versus 2, but half of those players are shields that are just extended up, looking at each other. But it favors defense. If you got Monty and a gun and Clash and a gun, it always favors defense because you got utility. We saw the Fenrir gadget going off, the Goo Mines going off, Toxic Babes being, thrown out. DarkZero, they could go to any bomb site but top floors. They just won it. They chose to go for this Archives, Teller's bomb site once again. Triple C4, the Pulse Valkyrie, but NGR also on the Fenrir. So a bit of a combination of the first DarkZero operator lineup and then the later half that seems to be directly targeting towards Soniqs' approach here. I'm actually surprised to see Geo once again opting for the Monty, especially because planting on this bomb site can be very difficult. My fear will be that maybe Monty will try and roam clear downstairs instead of the Archives instead, and not opting to go for that upstairs take this time as he tried to previously. But Soniqs are kind of playing a lot of different angles here. They're playing Thatcher, Nomad, Monty, which is very structured and relatively slow. And then they got Hibana and, Sledge just kind of fill in. I'm a little bit worried that Soniqs don't have enough firepower, actually, to kind of brute force these areas. They're very reliant on the Monty itself. And with 3 C4s in play and Legion, it's not the easiest round to be a Monty player. So Geo has a lot on his shoulders this round.
Absolutely. Geo's had a lot on his shoulders most rounds in the way that he plays things. He'll block off that window as there goes 2 EMPs, a round of X-Kairos, and the wall to top blue will now be open. They'll allow Geo full entry. Be crazy to think that just a couple years ago we would not have seen that play be possible because Hibana could not customize her ex-Kairos setup.
Things change sometimes so quickly, but I mean, it feels like it's so recent, but it's also so long time ago at the same time. The beauty of meta changes and operator changes that small quality of life upgrades, like Castle can now just override a normal barricade with a Castle barricade. Back in the day, you had to open it, break it down, then replace it. Anyway, Canadian always looking for a fish here with the C4, has a scanner, throws it out, misses, and this is one of the things where if he gets the kill, it's great, but because he doesn't get anything, it's 1/3 of the utility gone now from the 9 for plant deny to counter the Munty, so that C4 could prove vital later on in this round. It might not have been the best use of it in this case.
You could hear some of that gas being breathed in, but nobody is suffering any loss of HP, which is, I guess, normal since it's not a smoke, it's a Fenrir. Though that is an odd interaction. I don't usually remember the coughing from it. Everybody is still alive except for Pamazoo, who now dies. Citizen goes as well. Geo almost getting the diffuser down, does so successfully, and then the post plant. Now Soniqs will scramble. Rice is bleeding out. DZ outnumbered by 1, and they need to retake the bomb site. With Geo still up as well, this might be a harrowing prospect. Nitrocell goes out. Geo looking to engage with the bandit, loses the duel. Suddenly DZ have taken the numbers advantage. Technically, though Rice bleeds out. Now it's a 2v2. Gunner, the next one to take some damage. Time continuing to run away. Gunner prepared and ready. NJR needs to clutch and get to the diffuser. This might be an all but impossible task, and it is. Gunner the pick, and you can see the look on NJR's face. It's a scare.